I was asked to give the eulogy. How do you give a eulogy of a life so brief? Today we stand together and acknowledge, honor, and remember those 1,746 little boys and little girls whose lives have been taken since the injunction was granted. Each of these little babies had life. Within 24 hours of fertilization, they were dividing rapidly with cells. From conception, we know two things. They are alive and they are human. From the moment of conception, that baby's unique and unreplicable DNA was formed. Everything about them was known, determining everything from hair color, eye color, skin tone, height, sex, ancestry, life longevity, pitch of voice, and even the shape of their smile. They were alive and they were human. 21 days after conception, their tiny little hearts began to beat. Their little heart was beating already. Thump, thump, thump. During the next few weeks, their bodies were just forming. Their skin was being formed, their eyes and their inner ears, and by the 4th week, their body was growing at a rapid rate. Their brain was forming. 43 days after conception, brain waves are detected. By the next week, their arms and legs are forming and little fingers and toes are developing. They are moving and wiggling around by now, even if their mothers can't feel them. Their retinas are developing. Their central nervous system began to form around week 8, which, when fully developed, controls intelligence, memory, personality, emotion, speech, and the ability to feel and move. The little boy and the little girl were human beings. They were alive and they were growing just as fast as they could. They were moving, their heart was beating, they could soon bend their elbows and begin to wiggle their fingers and their toes. Soon the little boy was developing into a little boy, and the little girl was developing into a little girl. By 10 weeks after conception, that sweet little one even had fingernails. Her sweet little face had taken shape. By now, 90% of that body, a baby's body parts are developed. 4,000 tiny body parts that just needed time to grow. By the end of the 3rd month, the baby was fully formed. Their fingers and toes and eyelashes, nails and hair were all formed, and the baby could suck its thumb. They could yawn and stretch and make faces. That little baby was reacting. Just think, by the 13th week, that little one was reacting. Perhaps mom ate some broccoli and the little one didn't like it. Perhaps the little guy's heart was hearing his daddy. And reacted to that pleasing sound. And they could kick and push and tell mommy they were there. They were alive. By week 17, they were exercising. They're moving, and mom feels the flutters. They're growing more hair, and that sweet little baby looks just like that, a sweet little baby. By week 18, the baby girls already have 2 million eggs in their tiny ovaries. Generations were carried in that little girl. The ears were formed and they could listen to what was going on outside. Through their mother's belly, they could hear music and their mother and their father talking. And even now, in the state of Utah, that baby can be ripped apart and killed. Each of these babies had life. Each of these babies experienced warmth, feeling their mother, perhaps hearing their mom or their dad. They experienced life, feeling their little heartbeat. Perhaps they were old enough to move around and have sensation. These sweet little ones felt things. They had a very brief life, but we honored that life, no matter how short. Forever how long they were allowed to live, they had experiences, whatever they were, that were the very beginning of a very real human experience. Then each of them faced a horrific, tragic death. Some were poisoned and thrust from the safety of their mother's womb. Some were ripped apart and dismembered and had their body parts dragged out of their mother. Some were burned and ejected. All experienced horror. None of them deserved death. Not one single little baby or little girl, a little boy, deserved death. Not one. So may we have a time where we think and reflect and remember those sweet little lives. Thank you so much for being here and for remembering the 1,746 little brothers and little sisters that we never had a chance to meet in this life. We honor their lives as we honor the lives of every single child. Thank you.